what's up? My name is Dom. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, I typically make bookish content, movie content, and anything else in between because I like to do whatever I want on this channel. And tonight we are going to go over everything I watched in the month of September. I have 8 movies, 4 TV shows, and a concert to discuss, so let's jump right into the video. So in the month of September, I started off with a rewatch, and that is M. Night Shyamalan's Signs. This is about a family trying to survive an alien abduction. I feel like so many of us have a story about a parent, specifically a father, forcing us to watch a movie we had no business watching at such a young age that absolutely terrified us. For me, that movie is this one. I first watched this movie when I was 8 years old, and I was absolutely petrified. I was so scared. But not even the scene, the newscasting scene where you see the alien walk in. The scene that scared me the most is when you see the reflection in the TV. And ever since then, I have actually been too scared to watch this movie until this year. For some reason, I was like, you know what? I'm 27 now. It's been nearly 20 years. Let me suck it the fuck up and watch this film. And it's so funny because now that I've seen this, I can't believe I was so scared of it because this movie is not scary at all. Did I jump a little during the newscasting scene? Sure, but overall, I wasn't as scared. I can't believe this movie used to scare the bejesus out of me. I actually found this story to be rather emotional and a really great, well, I don't want to say great, but like a good exploration of grief. I hesitate to use the word great because M. Night Shyamalan's dialogue is it's not on the nose, but it's not natural sounding either. You could tell these actors are reading a script word for word. Also, I'm not really a Mel Gibson fan, of him as a person, but for a guy that I think is not so great, he does play an amazing parent. I found myself crying multiple times during this movie. So overall, a very fun rewatch. Then, the first new to me movie I watched in September is Beetlejuice. This is the sequel to the original movie from the 80s, and in this movie, Lydia Deetz has a daughter named Astrid. They're growing apart. They're not as close as they used to be, especially after the death of Astrid's father. And Lydia's also dating this new weird dude that Astrid is not a fan of. So basically the plot of the movie is these two trying to come back together while Beetlejuice is haunting an adult Lydia. Y'all, I knew, because I'm a lover of the first movie, right? So I knew I was in for a ride when the movie started, and it's the same exact music, the same exact intro music as the first movie. I knew we were in for a great time. Then I got a little worried because I do think the first 30 minutes of this movie are rather slow, and I was like, oh no, we waited how many years for this movie and it's not gonna be up to par. But that last hour and a half, however long this movie is, definitely made up for it. It was so fucking chaotic. So much goes on in this movie. There's a lot to look at. There's a lot of things to follow. So much goes on. It very much feels like Tim Burton got tired of people asking for a sequel, and he essentially just thought of something and went, okay, here, damn. Are you happy now? But I loved every second of it. I already said what the main plot is, but in order to get there, several other narratives were opened up, and there's some issues, if I were to look at this with a critical eye. I will say, just for full disclosure here, I didn't go into this movie with a critical eye. I very much went into it to have a fun time, but if I am to look at it critically, the way these narratives closed was rather fast and very, I don't want to say anticlimactic, but a few of the narratives were. But I think the fact that I found Lydia and Astrid's conclusion to be so solid makes up for that, and that's why I don't typically mind the very fast conclusions. Tim Burton is dating the Italian actress Monica Bellucci, and I do think it's hilarious that her only role in this movie is just to walk around and look hot. I highly respect that. Winona Ryder has this perpetual what the fuck is going on look on her face throughout the entire movie that I thought was hilarious. Catherine O'Hara's delivery was spot on. And Michael Keaton, who plays the titular character, he still got it. I highly suggest going into this movie knowing it doesn't take itself too seriously, so you in turn should not take it too seriously, and you'll have a great time. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I went back to the theater the next day to see Brandy's new movie called The Front Room. In this movie, Brandy's in an interracial marriage. Her husband is white. His grandma comes to stay with them. However, his grandmother is a very, very racist woman who, per the trailer, thinks she is possessed by the spirit of Jesus Christ. And the trailer was spooky, and I saw how weird that synopsis was, and I was like, okay, well now it seems fucking stupid, but now I have to see it. So I saw it. Be warned, this movie is not at all scary like the trailer made it out to be. Like, I very much hesitate to call this a horror movie. I would call it even a thriller. I would more so call this a drama. So I was a little disappointed in that, but the absolute absurdity and the rest of the movie makes up for it. My jaw was on the floor throughout the whole thing because I was just like, what the fuck is going on? Poor Brandy, I don't feel as sorry for the husband as I do for her, but in a way I feel sorry for him too. And the woman who plays the grandmother needs an award because I had a visceral reaction whenever she was on screen. She did a great job playing one of the most annoying bitches you would ever meet in your life. But overall, this movie was just definitely a what the fuck, okay, that exists type of movie. I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. Then I watched a Netflix original movie called The Deliverance. The mom is running away from her past, essentially. She's a drunkard. Her kids don't really trust her. She's going through a lot of issues. A social worker comes in, and her kids get possessed by spirits. This is another movie that exists. I actually enjoy the drama aspects of this movie more so than the horror aspects. The first half of the movie is drama. It's not really horror. And I was glued to the screen. But then the horror comes into it, and the horror elements were just extremely laughable. And then made more laughable by the fact when you remember this is supposedly based on a true story. And I think one of my main issues with this movie is that despite Andra Day acting her ass off, I just had a problem with the mom because the way the narration's set up, as an audience member, we're supposed to feel sorry for her, but just the way she would treat her kids, I just couldn't. There are some scenes I felt for her in, but overall, I think I really had no sympathy for her, so I did not get the vibes Lee Daniels was setting out to get. So she would say shit like, oh yeah, I love my kids, and then proceed to verbally abuse them and treat them like garbage. That was my main issue with this, and, you know, just laughing when I wasn't supposed to be laughing, so I gave this movie 2 out of 5 stars. Then I saw Speak No Evil, the 2024 version, because there's apparently another version out there. But in this movie, a family meets James McAvoy and his family on a vacation in Italy, and then once they're back in England, they go to James McAvoy's house, and he is not the person they thought he was. This is another movie I really struggled with. I thought every character in this movie, minus the 2 children, because each family has a child, every character in this movie just managed to be completely insufferable. James McAvoy's character was incredibly obnoxious in the beginning of the movie to the point where, like, yes, he's kind of supposed to be because he's clearly the bad guy, but it was to the point where I couldn't really suspend my disbelief when the family was like, oh yeah, we'll go to his house, because if you act like that around me, I want nothing to do with you. When it comes to the dad, so to differentiate, there's James McAvoy's family who's English, and then there's the other family who's American living in England. So the American dad, at times I thought he needed to grow a backbone, and then at other times I thought he kind of treated his daughter like shit, like he didn't take her anxiety seriously enough. But then at the same time, I thought the mom, the American mother, was insufferable in the sense where, like, she was the opposite side of the spectrum when it came to their daughter. I thought she infantilized her too much. And the way she would treat her husband at times, like, if this was any other genre, because this is a horror thriller, any other genre, and I actually would have been on the dad's side. And I'll get to that in a second. And as other movies go, of course, it's the mom that's suspicious of this weird family. But in her case, I just thought she had the weirdest reasons to be suspicious. Like, her reasons were very generic to me. But again, because of the genre, like, I took her side because I had to. One of the reasons it made me so angry I had to take her side is because she treated, even outside of the daughter, outside of this weird English family, I thought she treated the husband like crap. I genuinely took her side once, and that's when they were talking about why they moved to England. That I was, like, genuinely on her side for. I genuinely felt for her. But throughout the rest of the movie, I was like, oh my god, bitch, you are fucking annoying. They're all fucking annoying. But to go back to my point about being on the mom's side, this movie is extremely predictable. I wish there was a way to tell this story where we don't know that James McAvoy and his family are batshit insane. Just because I feel like that took away from the intensity. You know shit's gonna hit the fan with them. So as much as the mom annoyed me, that's why I was on her side. Like, again, any other genre I would not have been, but I felt very like sequestered watching this. Like, I had to be, and I would have been a fucking idiot not to be. And then I had a problem with the pacing of this movie because it is the type of movie where, you know, the first hour is a slow burn and then shit hits the fan in the last half hour. And when shit hit the fan, then the movie got real fun. I couldn't look away. But that first hour was so difficult to get into. It's a very boring slow burn. And then I felt like this movie opened up themes that were never really properly addressed in the end, like marital relationships, masculinity was a huge theme. They were addressed, but not like adequately in my opinion. And then my other thing is the character Ant, who's James McAvoy's son. I just wish he had more of a presence in the film because he's clearly the star by the end of the movie and the title refers to him, but I just feel like he didn't have a big enough presence in that like first half of the film, so it was just a bit strange when he finally like came into play. Overall, that last half hour really helped with my rating, so rather than giving it like 1 or 2 out of 5 stars, I gave it 2.5 out of 5. Then I watched a movie from the 70s, and that is called The Wicker Man. This is about a policeman who's sent to one of the islands in the British Isles for an investigation. A girl has gone missing, but once he enters that island, everyone acts like they have never heard of her. I went in for a horror movie, but I actually got a very fun musical instead. The musical aspects were actually very catchy, and it's why I wasn't disappointed when I realized this movie was not going to be scary. It was going to be kind of on the corny side. And the more I learned about the culture of this island, the more I was able to predict the ending, but my jaw was still on the floor. So it was overall very fun, and I gave this 3.5 out of 5 stars. So then I went to the theater and saw a movie that's not a horror movie, and that is The Wild Robot. This is based on a graphic novel, and is about a robot who enters this forest. She's essentially supposed to be helpful to humans, like the movie I, Robot, kind of like that, but she ends up in this forest where all the animals are afraid of her, accidentally kills a family of geese minus 1 egg, and then she has to raise this egg and teach them how to fly. And this is such a cute, beautiful story about a character who's learning to love and another who's learning how to be confident in themselves. And I really have no other notes for this movie besides that, because I was bawling in the theater. Who would have thought a robot teaching a bird how to fly would make me bawl? And I'm always a sucker for the adopted child trope for some reason. Specifically when it's a man adopting a daughter, that's my favorite. But you know, I'll take a mother adopting a son too. And of course it has gorgeous animation. It has a 2D, 3D type, and it's so beautiful to look at. I love the voice acting, especially by Lupita Nyong'o. My only like critique of sorts, it does move very fast and doesn't leave a lot of room for characterization, but there isn't a lack of characterization. So I gave this movie 4 out of 5 stars. And the last movie I watched this month is The Pit and the Pendulum. This is a Vincent Price movie that I reacted to. That reaction may not be out by the time this video is out, I don't know. But this takes place during the Spanish Inquisition era. It's totally different plot than the Edgar Allan Poe short story. In this, a man realizes his sister has died, so he goes to the castle where Vincent Price, her husband, lives and to investigate. This is just a fun, straightforward movie. It's not as eerie as the original tale, but it still does have some creepy scenes. It feels campy at times, which I don't think was the intention, and it feels campy because of the costumes and the acting style. The way the 60s used to do costume and makeup is just so funny to me, because often the costumes are very much in the time of the movie. So, you know, they're all wearing like the medieval outfits in this movie, but the hair and makeup, especially for the woman, is just straight out of a 1960s magazine. Like, they didn't even, hair and makeup wise, they didn't even attempt to make them look like they're from the 1500s, which is kind of funny to me. And the acting in this movie felt melodramatic at times, including Vincent Price, who I'm a huge fan of. I think he's a great actor, but there's a few scenes in here that were a little weird to me. But there was one actress specifically, Vincent Price's sister in this film, where her line delivery was so off-putting that I was suspicious of her when I should not have been, and she just always took me out of the story whenever she was on screen. So overall, I gave this movie 3 out of 5 stars. Now for the TV shows. The first one I completed is on Netflix and is a Zack Snyder production, and that is Twilight of the Gods. This show is based on Norse mythology, and it's about a woman named Sigrid who's about to marry the love of her life, Leif, and as she's about to do so, Thor comes and kills all of her people, and she makes a pact with Loki to get back at him. Now, I know Snyder is a very controversial figure in the film world. I have no opinion on the man because I don't think I've seen any of his films. The only films I know of are superhero movies. I said a few times on this channel I'm not a huge superhero fan, so I had no expectations going to the show. But I actually vastly enjoyed this. I thought it was fun. I love a story about women getting revenge. It could be a little exposition heavy, but I personally was okay with that because I did go into this not knowing a lot about Norse mythology. I loved all the character designs, whether it's the humans or some of the gods too, especially like the last half of the show, the gods we meet in the last half. And I liked all the characters. And speaking of just liking characters, it's nice watching a show where the love interests actually like each other, which sounds so weird, but it's so much media nowadays. You have this couple and they're constantly arguing because, you know, you need drama. The husband boyfriend cheats on the wife girlfriend. You know, they have to have a moment where they prove to each other they do actually like each other. But in this show, like, there was one point where I thought Leif was actually going to leave Sigrid and disagree with her, but he doesn't. They genuinely like each other throughout the whole show. They didn't need to do anything to prove their love. No one cheated on the other, and it was just so nice to see. Just fair warning going into the show, it's not for children. Despite being an animated show, it is adult animation, so be wary of violence. There's a lot of blood. Be wary of the curse words. Be wary of the sex scenes if that makes you uncomfortable. There is a lot of sex scenes in this TV show. Only 8 episodes long, and I think maybe like 5 or 6 had a sex scene. One episode had 2 alone. One of those sex scenes was a whole ass threesome, so be wary of that. And they're not really subtle in what they show either. So, you know, I'd see a couple of schlongs here and there, so if that makes you uncomfortable, just be aware of that going into this. But I actually didn't mind the sex scenes in this. I'm not someone who hates sex scenes either way, but I will admit, like, in some media they're not needed, but I also don't like blow a fuse that they're there. But in this show, I actually feel like the majority of the sex scenes did a really great job showing the vulnerability of these characters and then just the love they have for one another. So I think in this show, despite like making a joke about it, like I just was, they were done tastefully. Unfortunately, the show is not without faults though. My biggest issue is the pacing. Like with a lot of things in this video, it is very fast and does not leave a lot of room for characterization. There's not a lack of characterization, like it's there, motives are clear, changes of the characters are clear. It's just I feel like I wanted something more, and it's only 8 episodes long, and I feel like if this show was given like 9 or 10, it would really help with that issue. But overall, great show. Please watch it so I can get a season 2. I finally completed Liberty's Kids. I have been watching this show for months because I would watch it in the mornings, on the weekends, at work. This show is about 3 kids who are journalists for Benjamin Franklin, and they're chronicling different events of the American Revolution. And I had such a great time rewatching this. I used to watch this a lot as a kid. It's a PBS Kids show, but you had to be a PBS kid at a very specific time because it's only 40 episodes long, and I don't even think reruns lasted that long, so a lot of people actually have no idea what I'm talking about when I bring this up to them. But I actually, even as an adult, I actually learned a lot from the show about the war that like either I forgot from school or school just didn't teach us. And I remember I did a Boston trip this year and I was like just pointing out random things like, oh, I learned that from Liberty's Kids. I know who that person is because of Liberty's Kids. The show feels ahead of its time in certain ways, like especially when they discuss the Native Americans. I feel like the show tried its hardest to be as truthful as they possibly can. So they were honest. Some Native Americans did fight alongside the British. But I liked how the narrative was handled because it didn't blame them. Like, it made a point to tell us, like, you know, all these white men came and colonized their lands. The British people offered them their land back if they won. Can you really blame them for joining them? They had a character just point blank ask, like, why are we fighting for freedom but not the freedom of slaves? And she asked George Washington point blank, like, how are you the general of this war when you have slaves? Like, are you not being hypocritical? And given the time this came out and just historical fact, that's when it did kind of get wishy-washy. We're supposed to praise George Washington because he was our first president, so he said something that made him look good, but at the same time, the narrative was very much like, he is a hypocrite. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? America's not in a great light for 100% of the show, which I feel like is the exact opposite about how American history is taught in school sometimes. And even by the end of the show, they were straight up like, yo, these soldiers, they fought for freedom and now we're treating them like garbage. It can be a little on the nose at times, but also like keep in mind the target audience of this show is like 5-6-year-olds. Again, PBS Kids. I do find it funny, this show takes place from 1774 to 1783 and our characters do not age. The 8-year-old is an 8-year-old throughout the entire show. He's also French, and it's hilarious to me that Lafayette adopted him. But other than that, it had a very hopeful ending. It made me patriotic. Sometimes propaganda works. It made me forget we're in an election right now and actually be proud of my country for once. And opening song, still an absolute banger. Rest in peace, Aaron Carter. It's some of your best work. I had a great time with this show. If you're looking for something to show kids, to teach them about the American Revolution, watch this. It's free on YouTube. Then the last show I completed was an anime called Another, and this is about a boy who moves from Tokyo to a rural town in Japan. He befriends this girl and realizes the rest of his class is ignoring her, and then finds out that his classroom specifically has been cursed. It starts off extremely eerie, and that's because of the atmosphere, the music, the coloring of the show, the character traits. Freaks me out. And I was watching this in the dark, and at times I was like, maybe I should turn the lights on. And the second half wasn't as eerie, scary, whatever word you want to use, but it was still like incredibly fucked up. It's one of those shows where every time I thought I guessed a plot point correctly, it just went in another way, and I greatly appreciate that. I haven't had a show like that in a long time. So I really enjoyed this and highly recommend it. A show I did not complete in September is Star Wars Rebels. I did watch season 2. I'm putting the show on pause now that we're in spooky season so I can watch all of my movies. But I really liked season 2. The finale gave me chills with Ahsoka and Darth Vader, and my heart hurts. And then I started Uzumaki. This is an anime that we've been waiting 5 years for, and it's based off the manga Uzumaki by Junji Ito. This is a story about a town who was haunted by the spiral. Only one episode premiered in September, so that's the one episode I'm going to talk about. And I can see why this episode took forever, because this animation was amazing. I am of the opinion Junji Ito's art style is very hard to adapt to the screen. I feel like the first episode got it down pat. You are so loud, Carmine. It has incredibly spooky vibes, whether that's the music or the color grading of the show. The show is in black and white like the manga is, which I thought was an excellent touch. It's Junji Ito's use of shading and his coloring style that makes some of his art so creepy. And I've noticed in this anime, they're actually combining the plots of the chapters to make one cohesive story, so it doesn't have the episodic nature of the manga. At first, I thought that was actually an excellent way to do it, because I feel like if they kept it episodic like the manga, it probably would have ruined the vibes for a lot of people if they had not read the manga before. However, the animation style does take a nosedive for episode 2, which I have seen. Episodes 3 is out. I have not seen it yet, so those thoughts I'm gonna wait until my October wrap up. But holy shit! And yes, I have seen everything that's come out online about the post-production issues, because a lot of people are like, they've had 5 years to do this and it looks like garbage. Actually, I will say, even though there's a nosedive in quality, I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be. It's disappointing, but like a lot of the issues people were noticing right away, I didn't notice while I was watching. I had to go back and watch the scenes a few times to see the things people were talking about. But episode 1, really good. Again, I'm going to try to save everything else for the October wrap up. I went to one concert in the month of September and my battery's dying, so I have to keep this quick. But it was the Dropkick Murphys concert. So the opener I wanted to see is called The Scratch. They are a band from Ireland, and I really liked what I heard on Spotify, and watching them was cool too, because the lead singer was also the drummer, but he wasn't playing on drums. He had one of those like electrical things. The mixing of the music was a little off because it was loud. Me and the friend I was with, we could not hear each other. We were just texting each other in our seats. I'll give these guys credit though. I don't think they were used to a crowd as big as the one we had, because they are a very small band from what I saw. They put on a great show though. The second opener is called Pennywise. I've never heard of them until this concert. Sorry y'all. They put on a great show. I just wasn't impressed enough to go home and listen to more of their music, but it was still fun. And then the headliner, Dropkick Murphys. I have always heard of these guys. Like, of course, I know Shipping Up to Boston because it's played at so many sports games, especially when I was in high school. It was always played at our football games, but I didn't really get into them until like a year ago. So when I saw they were coming to Philly, I was like, oh yeah, I have to see them, especially because it was a cheap concert. It was only like 15 bucks. I'm like, I can't pass that up. And I had a great time. I loved dancing around. I was constantly dancing. It was a sit-down concert. Well, you didn't have to sit, but everyone in my area was sitting, so I didn't want to be that person and stand. But I was dancing in my seat. I was really impressed with the amount of live instruments on stage. Obviously, you have your bass guitar and drums, but for some reason, I went into this thinking like anything with bagpipes or like the Irish flute, like that was all just going to be pre-recorded stuff. But they actually have a member of the band who's a multi-instrumentalist. So we heard live bagpipes, we heard the live flute, we heard the live violin, and I thought that was really cool. I felt bad for the lead singer because he did have a broken foot, and yet the crowd surfers, for some reason, the crowd was still putting them towards him. So the security guard had to come in and be like, absolutely not, which is so weird to me because they had a platform that came into the crowd a bit, but like but instead of, you know, putting the crowd surfers on either side of that platform, it was just straight to the guy with the broken foot. So the security guard came in to help him. The lead singer gave him a shout out, which I thought was really nice. And shockingly, he told, hey, maybe we shouldn't crowd surf. The crowd surfers listened to him. And he was like, instead of crowd surfing, just start a mosh pit. And then they started a mosh pit. But honestly, I thought the lead singer was such a good sport considering his predicament. And he was still dancing around on stage, so shout out to him. And overall, like, after spending that hour, the concert in total was like 3 hours. So after listening to like Irish-inspired pop-punk music for 3 hours, it's time to channel the ancestors and cause chaos in these streets. Video. Let me know your thoughts down below if you've seen any of these movies, TV shows, if you love the Dropkick Murphys. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, comment, subscribe, y'all know the drill. And without further ado, I'm gonna peace out and I'll see you guys later. Ciao, tutti.